Hello, Los Angeles Dodgers fans. We've got fresh, exclusive videos and the latest updates just for you. Before we dive in, make sure to join our channel and hit that like button. This is the best way to stay on top of all the breaking news. There's a sense of quiet urgency settling over Chavez Ravine, the kind that builds when a team with championship aspirations finds itself entangled in a web of injuries, underperformance, and roster decisions that are growing more complicated by the day. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, a franchise synonymous with depth, savvy front office moves, and perennial playoff appearances, the 2025 season has not quite begun with the smooth dominance fans have come to expect. And at the heart of this slowly evolving drama is a name that, until recently, represented hope and upside: Bobby Miller. Once considered one of the most electric young arms in the Dodgers pipeline, Miller has now found himself part of a growing list of players being discussed not just for future roles, but for potential exits. Yes, in a season that has already seen 12 pitchers land on the injured list, an almost surreal number for a team that prides itself on pitching, the Dodgers might be entertaining something they rarely do with young, controllable talent: trading it. It's a surprising notion, especially for someone with Miller's profile. But it's not unfounded. The Dodgers are not only dealing with a decimated pitching staff, but they're also fighting gaps elsewhere, most notably at second base and in center field, two key defensive positions that have yet to find stability this season. While the versatile Tommy Edman has done what he can to plug holes wherever needed, frequently covering the infield, the outfield remains a lingering problem. Andy Pages, who was once expected to anchor center field with both his glove and bat, has simply not delivered. Through a sample size that grows increasingly concerning, he's posted a slash line of .159/.274/.270, numbers that underscore just how far off he is from meeting expectations. His OPS of .544 is not only a drop from last season's output, but has become a glaring weak spot in a lineup that can't afford many more. This has led analysts, insiders, and fans alike to speculate about moves the Dodgers might be forced to consider as the trade deadline slowly approaches. And it's not just idle talk. David Schoenfield, a respected voice from ESPN with deep connections in baseball circles, recently identified Bobby Miller as a candidate for a mid-season trade, a thought that would have seemed outlandish just a year ago. Schoenfield's rationale was steeped in the reality of the Dodgers' roster composition and the unique challenges they're facing due to injury. Since players on the 60-day IL don't count against the 40-man roster limit, Schoenfield explained, the Dodgers currently have 47 players on the 40-man roster because of all of their injured pitchers. Some of those guys are out for the year, so the roster crunch won't completely happen until the offseason. But when Clayton Kershaw is activated, for example, the Dodgers will have to clear a roster spot. And therein lies the crux of the matter. Kershaw, the franchise legend and one of the most respected arms in baseball history, is inching closer to a return. He recently completed a successful rehab start, where he struck out 2 batters over 3 innings. While his velocity wasn't eye-popping, his control and presence on the mound reminded everyone why he remains such a pivotal part of this roster. But when the Dodgers activate him, which could be in a matter of weeks, someone has to go. In a vacuum, moving a AAA pitcher back down wouldn't be all that complicated. But Miller's situation is different. After all, this is a pitcher who began last season flashing top-of-the-rotation stuff, whose fastball often touches the upper 90s, and whose poise and high-leverage situations gave fans and analysts alike the impression that the Dodgers had unearthed another gem. Yet, 2024 was far from kind to him. What began as a promising campaign quickly turned sour. The turning point, and perhaps the moment everything began to unravel, came during the very first game of spring training in the Cactus League. There, Miller was struck in the head by a 106 miles per hour line drive, a terrifying moment that left teammates shaken and fans holding their breath. Though he thankfully avoided life-threatening injuries and was able to resume baseball activities after a recovery period, the incident seemed to derail his rhythm and confidence. When he did finally make his lone major league start this season, it wasn't the comeback story anyone had hoped for. In 3 short innings, Miller surrendered 8 hits and 6 earned runs, struggling with his command and failing to find any real groove. It was a tough outing, and for a team already battling inconsistency on the mound, it made the decision even harder. Could the Dodgers afford to let him continue developing in AAA, hoping that his talent would eventually shine through again? Or, more pragmatically, could they afford not to explore his value in the trade market if it meant shoring up their weaknesses and keeping the World Series window open? That's the calculation that the front office now faces. And it's not one they'll take lightly. The Dodgers have, over the years, cultivated a reputation for balancing present competitiveness with future sustainability. They rarely trade their top prospects unless they believe the return can elevate their roster to immediate championship contention. But with so many variables in play, the injured list, underperformance from key positions, and the upcoming return of players like Kershaw, this might be one of those rare occasions where the calculus shifts. Miller, for all his upside, is not untouchable. Not anymore. His injuries, inconsistency, and diminished momentum have made it difficult to project what role he'll realistically play this season. Yet his ceiling remains high enough that other teams could very well be willing to part with valuable assets in return. If the Dodgers choose to leverage his potential in a trade, they could target a controllable second baseman or an outfielder with a stronger offensive profile than Page's. There's even talk that a package deal, including Miller and another prospect, could bring back a proven major league contributor who could immediately plug one of the team's holes. The weeks ahead will be critical. As the Dodgers navigate the tricky waters of injuries, lineup construction, and impending roster moves, every decision will carry more weight. For now, Bobby Miller remains a member of the organization, a talented young pitcher trying to find his footing after a frightening injury and a rocky return. But as trade rumors continue to swirl and the deadline approaches, his name may appear more and more frequently in conversations that could determine the course of the Dodger season. Whether the front office chooses to hold on to him or include him in a move designed to fortify the roster, one thing is clear. The Dodgers are at crossroads. And Bobby Miller, once the symbol of a bright future, could very well be the key to unlocking a stronger, more complete present. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Dave Roberts, the seasoned and usually diplomatic manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, has sent shockwaves through the baseball world with a declaration that has lit up social media and sports talk shows alike. In a stunning departure from his usual calm and calculated tone, Roberts reportedly told members of the front office that he no longer wants Teoscar Hernandez in the team. The statement, as bold as it is unusual for someone of Roberts' typically measured demeanor, has opened the floodgates to speculation, debate, and questions about what really went on behind the scenes in the Dodgers clubhouse. Hernandez, a power-hitting outfielder with a track record of offensive explosiveness, was brought in to inject even more firepower into an already loaded Dodgers lineup. On paper, the move made sense. He had shown his worth in previous seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners, racking up homers, driving in runs, and bringing a dynamic presence to the plate. But things don't always play out like the numbers suggest they will. And now, with Roberts' candid statement coming to light, the big question isn't just about what happened. It's about why it happened and what it means moving forward. Sources close to the organization suggest that the issues between Roberts and Hernandez weren't purely about performance. Sure, Hernandez has had his ups and downs this season. Some streaky slumps, some defensive miscues that cost the Dodgers runs, and a few questionable decisions at the plate. But he's also had moments where he delivered exactly what the team hoped for. Clutch hits, towering home runs, and flashes of his old self. If this was only about stats, the conversation might be very different. But insiders say this rift runs deeper. It's about attitude, work ethic, and perhaps a growing sense of disconnect between the player and the culture Roberts has carefully cultivated in Los Angeles. Dave Roberts is a manager who thrives on unity, discipline, and accountability. He values players who buy into the system, who understand the long grind of the season and embrace their role in the bigger picture. Hernandez, on the other hand, is known for his passion, his flair, and sometimes his emotional volatility. When that passion translates into energy on the field, everyone celebrates it. But when it bubbles over into frustration, tension, or perceived selfishness, it clashes with the kind of environment Roberts demands. And according to those familiar with the internal dynamics of the team, that's exactly what happened. Reports indicate that Roberts grew increasingly frustrated with what he saw as a lack of focus and consistency from Hernandez, both in preparation and execution. There were moments during team meetings and post-game debriefs when a manager reportedly called out lapses in effort or concentration, only to be met with defensiveness from the veteran slugger. Those moments, small in isolation, apparently began to pile up. The trust eroded. And for Roberts, a man who famously stands by his players through thick and thin, to reach the point where he openly admits he no longer wants Hernandez in the clubhouse is telling. What's even more telling is the timing. The Dodgers are in the midst of a critical stretch in the season. They're chasing postseason positioning, dealing with injuries, and trying to find the right chemistry with a roster that blends superstar veterans and hungry young talents. Distractions are the last thing they need. And yet, here we are, with the manager essentially drawing a line in the sand. The implications are massive. Will the front office act swiftly to trade or release Hernandez? Will the player himself respond with professionalism or push back in the media? And how will the rest of the clubhouse react to this public fissure between one of their teammates and the man who leads them? Teoscar Hernandez has not yet commented publicly on Roberts' reported statement. But make no mistake, his next move matters. If he chooses to fight back, to defend himself in interviews or on social media, the saga could quickly spiral into a full-blown distraction. But if he takes the high road, focuses on his play, and lets his bat do the talking, there might still be a path to redemption. Baseball is, after all, a game of second chances, and plenty of players have bounced back from much worse. Still, the tension is palpable, and it's hard to ignore the fact that Roberts' words likely reflect more than just a moment of frustration. They reflect a final straw. For Dodgers fans, this development is jarring. This is a team built to contend, not just this year, but every year. They're used to headlines about dominance, not drama. And with a front office that has prided itself on smart acquisitions and internal harmony, the idea that a high-profile addition like Hernandez could be jettisoned mid-season due to personality clashes raises uncomfortable questions. Did they miscalculate the fit? Were the warning signs there from the start? And if this relationship truly is beyond repair, what kind of message does it send to the rest of the roster? There's also a broader conversation to be had about leadership, both in the dugout and the front office. Dave Roberts has earned his reputation as a player's manager, someone who defends his guys, shields them from the media, and handles conflicts behind closed doors. So for him to go public, or even semi-public, with such a blunt assessment of Hernandez, something significant must have shifted. Perhaps it was a confrontation that crossed the line. Perhaps it was the culmination of weeks, even months, of simmering tension. Whatever it was, it pushed Roberts to speak in a way that's uncharacteristic, and that alone is a headline. As the Dodgers navigate the fallout from this situation, one thing is clear. The locker room is at a crossroads. Team chemistry is fragile. Winning covers up a lot of cracks, but when the cracks become public, when words like "I don't want him here" are uttered by the manager, it's no longer just a baseball issue. It's a human issue, an organizational issue, and it's a test of whether the Dodgers can maintain their focus and identity amidst internal turmoil. What happens next will be crucial. If Hernandez is moved, either through trade or release, the Dodgers will have to answer for why they gave up on such a talented player. If he stays, they'll have to find a way to mend fences, or at the very least, coexist professionally. And for Dave Roberts, a manager who has built his tenure on communication and trust, this may be the moment that defines his leadership more than any win-loss record ever could. In the end, this story is about more than baseball. It's about the delicate balance between talent and temperament, between performance and personality. It's about what happens when two strong-willed individuals, one in the dugout, one on the field, no longer see eye to eye. And as the Dodgers continue their quest for another championship, they'll have to do it with this storm swirling around them. The lights are bright in Los Angeles, and every word, every move, every lineup decision will be scrutinized. Roberts has made his stance clear. Now the ball is in Teoscar Hernandez's court. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.